Part 3. It all begins with wind. The idea of selling cars for a living had occurred to me before that day. In fact, I had a friend who was a car salesman, and when my building business started going sure, I asked him a few times to get me a job as a salesman. But he never took me seriously about keep bestowing me off, telling me that I did not know anything about selling. In a way, that was true. My experience selling hours don't count for much because at the lowest price I was changing for the few I built, there was no selling. People were glad to got them. All I had to go was sit in the model, make the dial, and arrange for the paperwork. I probably learned more about selling when I shined shoes and sold produce the streets from the break to truck them. I even learned selling houses with the drinkers, the bears, and the gossipers in the street, getting them the notice you like it was important if you wanted to make a little extra or even to make the sale in the first price. I always hate some scenes of that. I always hate some idea that the way I got a buy to take me a shine or to give me an extra tip, or the way I get a housewife to make a dozen earns of corn instead of 6 was the sell me up to them. But at this point in my life, all I could think was getting some kind of work right away. My friend and my car business suggested to me up again, so I went to see another man I know in the business. He was sales manager of corporate dealership. Right away he explained why I had been getting the buzz of car salesman. He said always feel that there are only a certain number of customers to many other salesmen. They feel that every time a new salesman comes into a showroom, he is going to take sales away from them. I had suffered from another handicap since I was a kid of that was I shared body for the time I was about 8. It is keen to have started from my father beginning me. For years it caused me a lot of painful immersement, but the kind of work I was able to get don't require me to have a to spark well. I had told a lot of people about it, including doctors. They all said pretty much the something. Tried to tell shower I tried a lot. I guess in it got better something. But there's just a wish not all must pleasure unto me improve my speech until I started selling cars. Then I had to do something, and what I had to do was teach myself to concrete on what I was trying to say on the say slowly and carefully. I was 25 when I really began working on it, and I soon learned to overcome that handicap because I had to, otherwise he was not going to eat. Learning to overcome stuttering was one of the most important things that helped to me when I started selling because it made me think about what I was trying to say, what I should say, and what people wanted to hear. That is something that everybody who sells should do all time, of course, but having that handicap forced me to do it. I not only occurred myself to suffering that way, I also learned some of the fundamentals of communication because I learned to listen and plan every word I said carefully. It was not long before I had to get into point of what I almost never suffered, and I almost always said what I wanted to say exactly right. I hate both cars. I know the way business worked, that is the salesman suited in the group, and when the door opened, however was the next come up to the customer. But I was desperate, so I said that follow. How about if I don't take any flour from other salesmen? He looked at me kind of funny because I did not make sense. What if you just get customers in other ways than taking tons of the flour? So he said, okay, and I was hired, but they did not mean anything because salesmen in that place did not get any draw. In fact, they don't even get a dentist to give until they got a certain selling level. I hate my angerment and I was a salesman, but I had no idea where I was going to find customers. I know that people weaken leads, but I don't know what leads where and how we get them. The only list I know about was telephone book, so I figured out I there a couple of pages out of the dictionary where the hell is a word list and everybody on it had telephone number. In fact, I tried to write pages and then I figured out that businesses people use tricks and most people are not home during the day anyway, so I tore out yellow pages. That was my first proposed list from pages from the reload telephone dictionary. It was not much, but it was better than nothing. I'm sure that would make a Danish dream if I say that the first number I picked at random brought a prospect who came in that day and bright car from me. Maybe I will tell you that if throughout you would believe it. The first car sales I ever made. No, I made my first sale that day, but it was not from a phone call. As a matter of fact, it was from a customer who walked into the showroom just before closing, when all the guys were either busy with customer or on their way home. He tells in and there is no else there. I look around for about a second, remembering that I had said I would not tell any other salesman explore time, but I was keeping my promise because nobody was there. And by that time I was so desperate that I would give clout anybody who got me my way. A lot of guys frame the first dollar the took in their new store and they can resell every detail on the first sale that ever made in their businesses. You might think that I can recall every detail of that first sale or if I can, you can think it was good for this book if I made up a story about this first sale, but I would not do that. I tell you frankly that I do not remember that man's name, don't remember what kind of car he bought. I remember two things about the first sale, just two things. One was that he was a Kuala Lumpur salesman. I probably remember that because I had something to do with grocery store and groceries were on my mind a lot that day. The other thing I remember was that feeling I had from the first time I saw that guy that there was no way he was going to get out without buying a car from me. To this day, I cannot remember his face and for a very simple reason. Whenever I looked at him, all I see was what I wanted from him and my want was a bag of groceries to feed my family. I did not remember the piece I made. I don't know much about cars or selling for anything in those days, so I know I don't tell the product to him. I hate never had it to there about anyone objections, but I am sure that however he thrilled I got him moving again if I planned to on the about the wife. I am sure that weekend in the phone I got the drive over within his house. I don't know anything more about that man except the response to the only way I had at moment to second a word by bread my life, fulfill my obligations to my family. He was a bag groceries and if I sold him, they would eat. Went. My went, that was all I know about that went was you to drive to me, say do you of the right things, sell him a car. I am not saying that is all there is to then or now, but things is most of it. If you went, and I know what you went, you will have most of that you need to be successful salesman. I meant that nobody can a great salesman without wanting. Wanting something very much, and the more you want, the more you drive yourself to do what it tells to sell. Maybe the reason that I am well greatest salesman in there, the really is not anything much that you can want more than feeding your hungry family. That does not mean that you have to have a hungry family or somebody who needs an operation to save their life or something, just a gym in order to sell or cause anything else. But you have to win something, and you have to know what it is, and you have to see every move you make as a wrong of getting whenever it is you want. Also, I saw that Kuala salesman as bag groceries to bring home to my family. He was sold. Whatever he know, if he or not, I can't think of anything I have ever wanted as much as that break of groceries, but I have wanted a lot of other things. I always know what they are, and I try to tell every phone call, every word I say to every customer info, fulfilling that want. First, you have to know what you want. Second, you have to know that you can get if you sell the next project. You may think that is little too simple. You were right, but you just still oversimplified because I made me a salesman that first day. I did not know from nothing expect on my one that fact that I sold this guy. I wanted get those groceries, and I did it. I sold him, and then I talked the sales manager into lending to me $10 to buy a bag of groceries from my family. Don't tell me it does not work. Knowing what you want will power your drive. Thanks for listening.